When villainy is the only weapon at your disposal in your battle against villains, you are sure to become one. That's my general impression regarding the dearly departed Andrew Breitbart, a person who did not often come up in the topics that I covered in my videos because, quite frankly, he's a person that I would have strongly disliked if I had bothered to take the time. But nevertheless, even though I didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about him, I was nonetheless aware of him, and thus the purpose of this little shadow eulogy, if you will. Andrew Breitbart will probably be best remembered by me, and if I am anything of an expert on my audience, by those in my audience, as one of the principal figures in the Fox 2009 Tea Party movement that attempted to supplant the 2007 movement, of which Ron Paul was one of the principal founding members. We call ourselves the Liberty Movement, but really when you get down to it, it's the actual Tea Party, the Ron Paul Tea Party, as it were. We differentiate ourselves from the 2009 Tea Party primarily in that we actually believe in the concept of limited government in all respects. We don't just simply pay lip service to it in order to continue the charade of Republican versus Democrat politics. And that's really, when you get down to brass tacks, where the divide is between Mr. Breitbart and his flock and the rest of us here that are actually fighting for our freedoms rather than just simply making news stories about some floating abstraction which we call freedom. A lot of people on the left side of the current paradigm dislike this man. And they disliked him primarily because he engaged in tactics that were often ones that they employed, the so-called Saul Alinsky approach to dealing with your political enemies. This is an approach that Breitbart was no doubt familiar with since he grew up in a predominantly left-wing area. And ultimately, when you get down to it, a hypocrite always becomes hopelessly angry and upset when his own hypocrisy is visited back at him. And in that one small respect, there was a little bit of a sympathy, a sense of sympathy on my part with Mr. Breitbart's aims insofar as dealing with the so-called socialistic authoritarian left. Nevertheless, this amounted to little more than Italian fascism trying to fight a war with Russian communism. It's two versions of evil. Whichever one ends up prevailing, those who are stuck in the crossfire still lose. And thus we come to Mr. Breitbart's so-called movement. Within the current Fox Tea Party movement, there is a rather pugnacious, nay, even belligerent group of people on the internet that particularly identify with Mr. Breitbart and his affiliate websites, being specifically Breitbart, Breitbart TV, Big Hollywood, Big Government, Big Peace, and Big Journalism. You know, everything is big with Mr. Breitbart. I like to think of things less so in a matter of big and small than in the idea of right and wrong. And when it came to Mr. Breitbart's relationship with us, the libertarian movement, Mr. Breitbart was quarrelsome to the point of being adversarial. And if you doubt this, I have a link in the description to an interview that was done with Mr. Breitbart during the recent CPAC conference. And Mr. Breitbart says some rather ridiculous things, some things that are obviously very untrue for anybody who's actually paying attention to what's going on in the college campuses. And it's also apparent that Mr. Breitbart is also shit-faced drunk, which is why he is having a hard time forming a coherent sentence. Might be a little bit of a window into his actual cause of death. Nevertheless, For any doubting Thomases who would argue that this is just one interview and this is not necessarily indicative of a hostility between Breitbart's flock and the Liberty Movement, I will then refer you to an article that was done fairly recently bashing one Pat Buchanan. Pat Buchanan is seen as a controversial figure because he has some controversial views on immigration, but by and large, Pat Buchanan is much more of a friend to us than anybody on big government or big journalism or any other affiliate Andrew Breitbart website. Let me tell you right now, anybody that writes for Lou Rockwell, in my opinion, has got at least 90% of their chickens lined up in the proper rows. So in keeping with this, I am going to close this off early by just saying the following. Mr. Breitbart was somebody who might have had potential if he knew the meaning of the word. I think ultimately what Mr. Andrew Breitbart was a misguided person who fell for the old lie that, we have to defeat the Democrats and it doesn't matter how we do it or what we put in their place once we do it. I think that the people that are currently dancing on his grave, such as the Amazing Atheist, the Skeptical Heretic, and a few others, are just as obnoxious as he was, and given their admitted lifestyles, they're probably going to meet a similar end at a similarly untimely place. Let's just put it that way. I mean, let's face it, the Amazing Atheist is on the fast track of the death by cheeseburger diet, and the Skeptical Heretic is also one to be relatively drunk whenever he does any kind of video content, hence the lack of sense being made in any of his material. And for those of you in the Liberty Movement who are trying to be somewhat conciliar on this, I think that you're wasting your time. I think that Breitbart's crowd is a bunch of vindictive trolls, and I don't think you're going to get very far with them. And I principally look at the passing of Breitbart similar to the passing of Tim Russert. It's just one more dishonest journalist that I don't have to worry about. Didn't know either of them. Don't really know whether or not they deserve to continue living or not. That's not really my decision to make, so I'm not going to give you any "I'm glad he's dead" nonsense. But I am going to say that not going to miss them. Definitely not going to miss them. With prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.